The process has failed. Sort of. What is up, you guys? Welcome back to another B-Ball Discussions video. Today we are going to break down a few possible directions that the Philadelphia 76ers could go this offseason. 7 years ago, when Philly famously crafted the idea of intentionally tanking for lottery picks, they did not picture themselves getting swept in the first round and stuck in a financial crisis. But here we are. Honestly, things were looking pretty good at the start of last year's offseason, but general manager Elton Brand messed everything up by handing out fat contracts to two undeserving players. Don't get me wrong, Al Horford is a valuable veteran role player, but they are paying him $27 million a year for the next 3 years. And Tobias Harris is a terrific and efficient scorer, but he is not worth $36+ million a year for 4 years. Holy cow, that is bad. Who was he trying to outbid? Now the team is stuck. They disappointingly only amassed 2 All-Stars from their 8 lottery selections since 2013. Ben Simmons, who cannot space the floor, and Joel Embiid, who has a hard time staying on the floor. With the team's contracts set as they are, they will be spending a whopping $147 million on only 11 guys next year. Most teams don't touch that number with their entire roster. This means they clearly have no room to grow, so it is time that they must make the tough decisions. In my eyes, and in many others, the only way out of this hole Elton Brand dug them into is to trade one of their young stars, and most people agree the player to trade is Embiid. Joel Embiid is chronically injured, as in a good year sees him play a hair over 60 games, but in his 6 years in the NBA, this has happened only twice. This is just not cutting it. When on the floor, the narrative has always been pointed towards how out of shape he seemingly always is. Few players in the NBA labor as much as Embiid does near the end of games. This lack of health and endurance, along with the lack of floor spacing around him this past season, seemingly regressed the progress he was making as an all-around dominant center. But even with all this negativity, Embiid is still extremely valuable on the trade block. He is a 23-11 all-star center who has the ability to play inside and out and can man the paint at an effective defensive rate. Though many YouTubers are claiming the center position is dead, I could not disagree more. And whomever Embiid joins next season instantly becomes at the very least a playoff contender, if not a championship chaser. However, the Sixers need to realize this value and cannot give him up for nothing. The penny they hope to fetch for their prized 25-year-old big man will be a pretty one. So with all that exposition out of the way, let us break down 5 possible trade scenarios I could see Philadelphia taking this summer. I have made a total of 3 of these sort of videos in the past, and if you're wondering my record, I would say I am 1-0 because neither Kyle Kuzma nor Kevin Love were actually dealt, so I refuse to call those a win or a loss. Before we get going, please comment below if you think Embiid should be traded, and if so, where. Like the video and hit subscribe. Now, let us get rolling. The first trade I have thought of would be sending Embiid to the New Orleans Pelicans in exchange for Drew Holiday, Jackson Hayes, and their upcoming number 13 overall pick. For New Orleans, this will instantly put them back into playoff contention for next season. Brandon Ingram and JJ Redick are terrific floor spacers. Lonzo Ball can hopefully pull his head out of his butt and play like the point guard everyone knows he can be, or they trade him. And Zion will be graced with a second all-star running mate to take a massive load off of his shoulders. The con here is obviously the team's horrendous health, but a new year is a new opportunity, and hopefully these guys can all get their bodies straight for a true playoff run. In Philly, Holiday instantly fills the point guard role, switching Simmons to the main 4 slot, and either Horford or Hayes can take over as the starting center. Honestly, Holiday is one of the most valuable versatile trade pieces available this offseason, and I am shocked more people are not trying to put trades together with him. I think this move does not really make the Sixers much better, but it is hard to make the team better given what is available. The next trade I have is also for a Western Conference non-playoff bubble team. I have Embiid headed to the Sacramento Kings in exchange for Marvin Bagley, Corey Joseph, Richaun Holmes, and their number 12 overall pick. Both the Kings and Sixers have screwed themselves over with bad contracts and are looking for fresh starts and new opportunities. This would satisfy both sides. Sacktown instantly gets a pretty impressive dynamic duo of De'Aaron Fox and Embiid, alongside Harrison Barnes, Buddy Hield, and Bjelica. Not a championship-chasing team, but better than what they currently have. Meanwhile, Philly can fill Joseph in at the 1 and Bagley in at the 5. This is a major dice roll for the Sixers because nobody really knows what Bagley is going to be in the NBA. So far he has been chronically injured and underwhelming, but at only 20 years of age, there's plenty of time for him to improve. They just need some cheap pieces who they can grow with. My third trade is the final Western Conference deal, and honestly my least favorite of the 5, but there always must be one to don that honor. I have Embiid going to the Utah Jazz in a straight 1-for-1 in exchange for Rudy Gobert. The Jazz are all in right now, and I am confident replacing their defensive star with an all-around star will be a boost noteworthy enough to possibly push them over the top, especially if Donovan Mitchell continues to improve like he has thus far in the postseason. Not to mention the animosity between Gobert and Mitchell has been present for a while, so this move would probably make the young star happier. On Philly's side, this trade has value in both the short term as well as the long. Gobert is an elite defensive star who will consistently anchor the paint for the team while putting in plenty of alley-oop and pick-and-roll slams, and he is a star who does not take away from Simmons in really any other way other than the fact that he also cannot space the floor, which may be a problem. In the long term, it is important to note that this would be a one-year rental. In the summer of 2021, the Sixers will have much more cap room than they normally would, which may be enough to bring in some elite free agents to play alongside Simmons. My fourth pick would keep Embiid in the East, which may be a good or bad thing depending on your opinion to trading to rivals. But I have Embiid headed to the Charlotte Hornets in exchange for Nicholas Batum, Devontae Graham, and their number 3 overall pick. This would be a big move for both sides in both the short and long term. To put things simply, Charlotte replaces Cody Zeller with Embiid in their first 5, which still sort of sucks, but the team has like $40 million in cap space this summer. They can definitely fill in the holes with very good pieces to create something competitive. Meanwhile, Philly does not necessarily win in the short term. In fact, they will definitely be worse for a year. But Batum's contract is expiring, freeing up about $27 million the franchise desperately needs. Plus, Graham is a talented point guard who could be their 1 or 6th man of the future, and the draft pick could be anything, but many experts see it as likely LaMelo Ball, who would certainly be a fun addition thanks to his playmaking and ability to shoot from long range. A fun deal in my opinion. And finally, my last trade I have come up with may be my favorite and has my vote as the most likely. I have Embiid headed to the New York Knicks in exchange for the trio of Julius Randle, Elfrid Payton, Mitchell Robinson, and their number 8 overall pick. In my eyes, this is quite the haul for Philly, but to many others this may not look too great. The Knicks are awful and obviously cannot woo any big-name free agents as their franchise currently stands. Adding Embiid to the lineup would spark both interest and competitiveness in the organization that has not seen that since Carmelo Anthony and Amari Stoudemire. They still would not be a playoff team most likely, but you never know, maybe RJ Barrett can turn things around. Meanwhile, I love these pieces with the Sixers. Any of the 3 players could slide right into the first 5. Imagine Ben Simmons, Al Horford, Julius Randle, and Mitchell Robinson all filling the post minutes. That is the best 4-person big man rotation in the league. And though Payton gets a bad rep due to his inability to shoot threes, other than that he is a fantastic all-around playmaker and defensive hound. Philly's shooting would not necessarily improve, but maybe that number 8 pick can fill that void. So there you have it. 5 possible trades I believe the Philadelphia 76ers should choose from this offseason. Please let me know which one you like the most, or somewhere else you think Embiid should be headed. Or perhaps you think he should stay with the team and maybe Simmons is the man on the move. Let me know, like the video, and of course, please hit that subscribe button. It would mean the world to me. I will see you all next time.